Noble Crosby Annan.
And across the world, we're coming to you on our social media pages, TV3 Ghana. I am Bernice Abubeidulansa. Let's take a look at our headlines.
News360 Headlines is brought to you by Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
EcoBank, Nero Prime Water.
Tonight, Achimota-Pokuase Road remains a death trap as non-functioning street lights leave motorists with poor visibility a day after the deadly early morning crash killed 12 out of Angkor.
Also, market demolitions to make way for government's 24-hour economy market sparks displacement concerns among traders.
This evening, Inspector General of Police Christian Tete Yohunu warns religious tensions threaten Ghana's peace as he urges leaders to reject provocation.
And in business, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana projects a 2% rise in diesel prices and a marginal drop in petroleum prices at local pumps from August 16.
Later in international news, Chad President Mohamed Idris Deby pardons jailed opposition rival Success Masra after controversial 20-year sentence. Welcome to the program. We're live on our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. Thank you for joining us there. We can always get interactive as we settle for the details.
Right, Crosby, and this evening, motorists and road users who ply the Achimota-Pokuase road continue to deal with poor visibility, facing anxiety and fear daily due to non-functioning street lights on the stretch. Major portions of the N6 highway connecting Greater Accra to other regions are dark, a situation that has persisted for years. And this evening, there are fresh concerns being sparked a day after the tragic accident involving 6 vehicles and a tricycle that killed 12 people. Earlier today, Christian Yale visited the road and reports danger still lurks.
Right, so I'm standing at the spot, the exact spot where the multiple vehicle crash happened on Thursday early morning at 4 a.m. As I speak, my time is 5:27 a.m. and you realize that this entire stretch is in darkness. None of the street lights on this stretch, and indeed all the way from Achimota towards the Pokuase side, this is not the first time that I have been here. I remember that in 2024 and on multiple occasions I came on this stretch to report about the street lights and the darkness all over this place. Driving across or all along the Achimota-Pokuase stretch, like I said, which is about 16 kilometers in the evening, at night, or early morning at dawn, like I find myself here right now with the team, you realize that it is increasingly a death trap and it is increasingly difficult, and visibility is key or is important to road safety. That is the point we are making here. When you read the Road Traffic Act 2004, Act 683, and also when you read the Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 2180, they place emphasis on ensuring that hazards on our roads are minimized, with authorities obligated to provide road infrastructure that does not expose users to avoidable danger. And the word here is avoidable, team. Under Section 4 of the Street Lighting in Ghana Policy Framework 2011, MMDAs again are to own, install and maintain street lights, and that is what establishes the framework for funding through a revised street lighting levy, which is collected as part of electricity bills, like I said. And so citizens would always question, and it is legitimate to question, why we regularly would make payments for these levies for electricity bills. However, we do not get the benefits thereof.
Yeah, me Shenkani am driver ko akra tukumasi. Na endo accident esi wa hano no. E fa ba bi men kan say light enya adwuma ka ho na ma accident nso e happy. Say street light ni ya adwuma na wo light nya kura ba bia. Car say esi bia no wo behu say car say esi wo. Ana one akra tukumasi kwan ye nam so no. Ye kwan ni nye. Kwan na say ana car kura say esi kwan so wo mba betwe car na ma ye kura ya sem.
Me madwudwene ni say aha no on say cars no esane eba. Mo the speed na afu overhead no. Aka mo ye runs for hall no. De obi adu ha obe slow down and some full overhead no.
When you go further to even the Pokuase interchange, which was commissioned just about 4 years ago, you know, when that one was commissioned in the night at dawn like this, when you use a stretch, it was so beautiful. It was so amazing that you get to enjoy the beauty of that stretch. Now, when you get there around this time, it is a different picture. It is a different story altogether. We have come here to show you what it is, and hopefully we'll get authorities to react to ensure that this important road, the National Road 6, the N6, gets the necessary lighting that it deserves to get. I am Christian Yale from the Ofankor barrier.
And hopefully authorities act so that this unfortunate incident does not repeat itself. Two other stories tonight. A member of Parliament for Fuasi Irebi Kojo Nkrumah has filed a suit at the Supreme Court challenging the constitutionality of administrative warrants issued by the Chief Justice directing selected High Court judges to sit and conduct criminal trials during the legal vacation. The writ filed on Friday, August 14, names the Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni as the first defendant and the Attorney General and Minister for Justice Dominic Ayeni as the second defendant. Let's see on our screens details of the writ filed by the Member of Parliament. He's seeking a declaration that directing selected judges to hear selected criminal cases during the legal vacation violates Article 17, 23, and then 296 of the Constitution. Also arguing that prioritizing quote-unquote special criminal cases while leaving other pending criminal cases unheard amounts to selective justice and breaches the constitutional guarantee of equality before the law. He's also seeking that a declaration that the warrants undermine the health, that's number one, number two, the rest, and number three, welfare, as well as the rights of judges. So the welfare rights of judges, lawyers, and judicial service staff required to work throughout the legal vacation. And he's asking that Order 79, specifically Rules 1, 1, and 2 of CI 47 declared unconstitutional to the extent that they may permit the Chief Justice to select cases for hearing during the legal vacation without clear and objective criteria. Now, he's asking the Supreme Court to declare the disputed warrants unconstitutional, null and void, and these will have significant impact or effect on cases that should be heard during this period. Now, he's seeking any additional orders or directions the Supreme Court considers necessary to enforce its declaration. So these are the key excerpts or the key highlight of the writ filed by the Ofuasi Irebi Member of Parliament, Kojo Nkrumah. And you can as well link this to the concern that Councillor Tachia has over the decision of the court that his client still goes to court and during the legal vacation, something that he's not very happy about. Of course, this is a developing story. However, it travels to bring you updates here on TV3. Let's do some other stories tonight.
Now, the NDC government touted its 24-hour economy project as a major pathway to job creation and economic growth. However, the demolition of existing markets to fulfill that promise in parts of the country is raising concerns among traders and other stakeholders. While the government says the demolitions are necessary to build a round-the-clock economy, affected traders are asking at what cost? Grace Hamoajiman has more in this report.
The 24-hour economy policy was one of the most popular and anticipated promises of the NDC government. Its 133 mantra meant that a single job role is split into 3 shifts of 8 hours each, allowing 3 different workers to rotate and keep operations running around the clock.
It was the most flashy program of all the Mahama promises in the 2024 campaign. And as an appointee, we can also not sit down saying that it was the president who promised. Let's walk the talk. This is what he told Ghanaians, and this is why they voted for him. How should it be done? Let's do it. And that is what we are beginning to do.
For traders and the youth, a proper implementation of the policy will definitely mean more jobs.
Yeah, 24-hour economy.
The new rotation will help us a lot. Because I, for one, I'll come during the day and my sister will come during the night. That way, we are making a lot of money.
But a branch of the policy, the 24-hour market initiative, is sparking concerns among stakeholders. Some existing markets and structures are being demolished to make way for the 24-hour market. In May this year, structures at the Kaswani market were demolished for the project. In June, some buildings at the Bawku market were also demolished to make way for the 24-hour market. A 74-year-old school in Wa has been demolished to make way also for the construction of the markets. Currently, a legal battle is brewing between the Sechidumasi Rural Bank and the Asokore Mampong Municipal Assembly over the demolition of the bank's branch at Abuabo, also to make way for the 24-hour economy. Traders at the Agbobloshi and Kankomba Yam market have been given a 1-month ultimatum to vacate their markets, which will be turned into 24-hour markets. These recent spades of demolitions are raising questions about the feasibility of the project and its intended benefits. But the Director and Head of Innovative Finance, Partnerships and Markets for the 24-hour economy at the Office of the President, Dr. Ishmael Ni Amanododu, explains the rationale for the siting and the demolition.
The market itself needs to have a cold chain or some warehousing facility. It must also organize itself around an activity, a live activity, and so pharmaceutical places, you know, where or health centers or kindergarten school and things like that. So those are the characteristics that the 24-hour economy help the thinking to be able to construct that. Another level of thinking was also to ensure that these markets are strategically located to allow for an aggregation, if you want to look at that.
He has, however, urged calm among the assemblies and market stakeholders to avoid creating disaffection for the project.
We are aware that, you know, there are some challenges in terms of where they should be sited and so on, and so we have urged that at the local level they should have enough consultation with the landowners. So these are age-old markets that they themselves actually represent a very powerful aggregation of goods and services. And they have been running 24 themselves already. So it is for us to strengthen that and make sure that the facilities are there and the people are organized so that you run a particular market that is fit for purpose.
The policy is expected to shift the country from an import-dependent raw material exporter into a self-reliant round-the-clock industrial hub. But with these issues coming up, the question is, will the 24-hour economy policy be realized? Grace Hamajiman, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's now take you up north as President Mahama has announced a 1 billion cedi Bawku revitalization fund to support the reconstruction and development of the area, with priority on roads, bridges and healthcare infrastructure. Speaking at the Resetting Ghana Citizens Engagement in Bolgatanga, President Mahama said the fund was intended to help restore Bawku's economic activity and improve the movement of people, traders and farmers. Castro Sienna has more in this report.
President Mahama, speaking at the citizenship engagement, welcomed the relative calm in Bawku, expressing hope that a sustained peace would restore the town's status as a major commercial center and encourage residents who fled the area to return. He disclosed that work had already begun on some township roads and health facilities, while government plans to complete an Agenda 111 hospital and construct another hospital in Bawku. President Mahama commended the traditional authorities and residents for their efforts towards sustaining peace.
Bawku is finally calm. The guns have stopped sounding, and people are beginning to go about their business. I believe that if this peace continues, Bawku will bounce back to its original glory. Last year, we couldn't post national service people to Bawku because of the fighting. We couldn't post doctors to Bawku because of the fighting. And so I believe that with this peace that we have found, if we continue, Bawku will become what it was before.
The President praised the Inspector General of Police and other security personnel for their efforts in what he described as significant improvement in security across the Upper East region.
Upper East is safer now than it was before. A lot of the motorbike snatching, armed robbery and others have significantly reduced. That is because of the work the IGP and his people have been doing.
Let's take you to the Ashanti region capital now, where scores are turning up for a vigil being held in support of the imprisoned NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Entry-Boisiako, also known as Chairman Wontumi. Williams Evans Income is connecting with us live from Kumasi. William, so tell us more about the purpose of this vigil.
Well, that is, I can tell you that hundreds of parties people acquired the equity from the sympathizers of the incarcerated regional chairman of the party, and then have have condemned at the distance of DNG or Dr. Mahmoud Bahir's campaign office, and they are observing this vigil. Well, I mean, non-political figures, what I've cited there, not yet, but I got an indication that there are a number of them who are bailed to turn up. I mean, one person whose name has been confirmed for now is the middle belt and take a data for Dr. Mahmoud Bahir, Dr. Ayub Asile. I mean, we also very close to the incarcerated he is expected here among other members of Parliament, minorities concerned. I cannot confirm the need for you apart from Dr. Ayub Asile, whose name has been confirmed by one of the organizers that we are going to be here. So I can tell you that in the style, we are holding candles, lighted candles, and we are also having some level of congregation. I mean, down to the fact that they are kind of emphasizing with the ambassadors.
William, we'll leave it here for now. William will still be at the grounds of the vigil, bringing us more reports subsequently on our news bulletins and also on our social media pages. Apologies for the poor quality in sound there.
Back here in the capital, the Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete Yohunu, has urged Christian and Muslim leaders to help calm rising religious tensions and reject violence, vigilantism and provocative rhetoric. Speaking at an interfaith dialogue at the police headquarters here in Accra, the IGP said recent incidents involving alleged religious insults and violence had created significant tension, warning that Ghana's reputation for religious tolerance must be protected.
The message from the security and religious leaders was clear. Disagreement over religious beliefs must not be allowed to threaten the peace. Inspector General of Police Christian Tete Yohunu said recent incidents involving alleged religious insults, calls for extrajudicial violence and the assault of a handcuffed Christian cleric had created a worrying situation. The IGP urged Muslims and Christians to resist provocation and allow the law to take its course.
Dedicate your Friday sermons in Islam, Kubat, and Sunday sermons strictly to messages of interfaith harmony. Let the public see Christians and Islamic leaders standing together, sharing meals, issuing joint statements, and walking through our communities hand in hand. Show the youth that diversity of faith is strength, not a fault line. Admonish your youth never to resort to mob justice, online harassment, or physical violence. Teach them that trusting the state to resolve offenses is a mark of civic maturity and religious wisdom. Let arrests made in this matter serve as a clear reminder that the law works. And let this meeting mark the end of hostility.
The Presidential Envoy for Interfaith and Religious Affairs, Elvis Efriye Ankara, called for stronger intelligence coordination and early warning systems to prevent isolated incidents from escalating into wider religious conflict.
Going forward, we need to ask ourselves questions. Are these, or is this an isolated incident within the context of what is happening in the sub-region, in the Sahel? What kind of intelligence are we picking? Or what measures are we putting in place to coordinate intelligence such that some people will not take advantage of these happenings and exacerbate it, even without our knowledge?
The National Chief Imam, Sheikh Nuhu Shaributu, through his spokesperson, Sheikh Arimaya Shaibu, appealed to Ghanaians to protect the country's long-standing tradition of interfaith harmony.
We in Ghana here, followers of different faith, Muslims, Christians, are living in peace. Other nations do not have this kind of interfaith harmony. My plea is that let us not undermine and destroy this gift of God.
Some of the religious leaders present called for religious tolerance and peace.
Our diversity should unite us and not divide us. I humbly urge all of us to continue partnering with the police in building a peaceful, secure, and harmonious Ghana.
The religious leaders were urged to demonstrate unity publicly, preach restraint in their congregations, and encourage young people to trust the justice system rather than resort to retaliation. The 3 accused persons involved in the incident were present and were made to make peace with each other.
Thank you for staying here on News 360. Ghana is facing a growing development crisis with unsafe water, energy gaps, food insecurity, pollution and rapid urbanization threatening the country's progress. Scientists at the CSIR Water Research Institute warn that unless these challenges are tackled collectively, the burden on households and the economy will deepen. Here's a report by Beatrice Soa.
Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Water Research Institute Media Review, paint a worrying picture of Ghana's development. 11% of Ghanaians still rely on unsafe water sources, while more than 112,000 urban households depend on unimproved drinking water. The energy gap also persists, with 11% of the population lacking access to electricity as of 2024. Food insecurity has more than doubled from 12% in 2020 to 25% in 2022, while pollution and environmental degradation continue to threaten food systems and water bodies. At the same time, rapid urbanization has pushed the urban population to 59%, with Ghana's population now estimated at about 34 million. Research scientist Dr. Sylvester Aframbwedi says, breaking the cycle will require coordinated planning across sectors.
As a country and then maybe as a research institution also, I don't think we are doing too well in terms of water, right? Yes, the pollution and degradation within the water sector that we always highlight is something that is still ongoing. For food security dimensions, So you could be food secure today, next month, maybe due to the onset of some extreme weather climate, it erodes your livelihood systems and then you are affected. So we still have a lot to do.
Head of Aquaculture, Dr. Seth Ejikwa, says fish contributes more than 60% of Ghana's dietary animal protein, but the country is failing to fully exploit the sector's potential to create jobs and drive agricultural growth.
The kind of nutrients that the crop or the plant has absorbed from that wastewater, the heavy metals that are very dangerous to human health, we don't see that. But we are still looking on. People are producing fish, but they are wasting the water, the wastewater. Meanwhile, we are crying of not getting water at certain times of the season. Now, if this water is available, though waste, it is no waste because there are nutrients locked up in it, and that can be utilized for crop production.
The findings underscore the urgent need for coordinated action to address Ghana's water, energy, food, and environmental challenges. As Ghana's population grows and urbanization increases, experts say greater investment in research, sustainable food production, and aquaculture could help close existing gaps, create jobs, and strengthen the country's resilience. Beatrice Soa, TV3 News, Accra.
And now the Ghana Grid Company Limited has warned the public against encroachment and unauthorized activities within transmission lines corridors following damage to the Tema Achimota 161 kilovolt transmission line near the Ashaman Middle East area. The damage occurred when a fuel tanker undergoing welding works beneath the transmission line exploded. The force of the explosion reportedly sent part of the tanker more than 300 meters into one of the transmission towers, compromising its structural integrity. During an inspection of ongoing emergency restoration works at the site, GRIDCO officials cautioned the public against operating or undertaking activities beneath electricity pylons, stressing that such actions could result in loss of life, property damage, and disruption to the national power supply. GRIDCO has also called on individuals and institutions encroaching on its right of way to vacate the protected corridors immediately. The company warned that persons who fail to comply will face enforcement action in accordance with the law in collaboration with the security services and other relevant authorities. Now, under LI 542, as amended by LI 1737, activities within protected transmission corridors are prohibited within 50 meters on either side of 161 kilovolt transmission lines and 20 meters on either side of 330 kilovolts lines. GRIDCO said restoration works on the damaged line are ongoing, with planned maintenance scheduled for the coming weekend. The exercise is expected to take a few hours and may result in temporary interruptions in power supply in parts of the Greater Accra region.
By law, people are not supposed to come and work under these pylons, and there's a right of way. But what we've seen is that over the years, we've seen a lot of encroachment, and not just encroachment, but activity that endangers both the lines, the people themselves, and the general public. Like the chief executive of the Ghana Grid Company said, somebody was engaged in some welding activity of a tanker. There was an explosion and the shrapnel hits the pylons, compromising the safety and integrity of the pylons. If we do not take remedial action immediately, we risk the line collapsing and affecting other pylons. So what they are doing is that at the end of the week, they would undertake a major exercise to replace this very affected line. As Minister for the sector, it is my duty to ensure that the right thing is done. It is my duty to ensure that life and property are protected. And it is my duty to ensure that people work safely and we evacuate power safely. We are giving all those operating under these pylons to evacuate on their own within 1 month. And let me reiterate, 1 month. If they do not evacuate within that 1 month, we are going to undertake a very massive exercise to forcefully eject them, confiscate whatever items are left under the pylons, and auction them thereof.
Let's now bring you the weather update. Thunderstorms and rain are expected across the northern sector this evening into the night, with higher rainfall intensity expected over parts of the Upper West region. The rest of the country will remain mostly cloudy, with some areas within the middle and transition sectors likely to experience slight rain or drizzle. Early tomorrow morning, mist and fog patches may develop over parts of the coast, forest and mountainous areas, reducing visibility. Kindly note that relatively cool night and early morning temperatures are expected.
Weather News segment is brought to you by Syntex Tank.
expecting a slight increase in diesel prices at the local pumps from August 16, 2026. According to COPEC's projections for the second pricing window, diesel prices could rise by about 2% due to depreciation of the cedi.
Global fuel market trends showed mixed movements, with petrol prices recording a decline, while diesel prices continue to rise. Free on-board prices for petrol have dropped by about 5% on the international market, a development that could provide some relief for consumers at local fuel stations. Diesel, however, has recorded an increase of between 2% and 3% on the global market. The cedi lost some 1.5% in the window under review. Head of Research and Training at COPEC Ghana, Paul Erikofori, notes the contrasting movements are expected to influence local pump prices as oil marketing companies prepare for the next pricing window.
When you combine these variables, then it means that come the 16th of this month, consumers should be rest assured that petrol prices are going to remain stable and in some cases reduced by some 3% at the pumps. The diesel, we are also hoping that oil marketing companies will be magnanimous to consumers by maintaining prices, and in some cases it may go up slightly or marginally by some 2% at the pumps.
COPEC has appealed to oil marketing companies, OMCs, to be circumspect in setting fuel prices during the upcoming pricing window. The chamber urged OMCs to reflect favorable international market trends in their pump prices to protect consumers from unnecessary increases.
We are hoping that oil marketing companies will not unduly increase ex-pump prices, at the detriment of consumers, by especially maintaining the price of diesel at the pumps and in some cases reducing the price of petrol, just to ease up the burden consumers have been going through over the last couple of windows.
Let's now take a look at how the cedi is faring against other trading currencies and how some of our key commodities are faring on the global market. Well, that's it for Business Tonight on News 360. I am Menu Afu. We have more news updates coming your way. Stay with us.
with South Africa and Papua New Guinea in pot 2, and then Chinese Taipei and Uzbekistan in pot 1. Ghana will face Papua New Guinea, Ecuador, and one of Chinese Taipei or Uzbekistan after the draw is done. Now to our next story, the National Sports Authority says urgent rehabilitation works are needed at some of Ghana's major stadia to meet the Confederation of African Football's requirements. NSA Director General Achimota-Pokuase says engineering assessments have been completed and submitted to the Ministry of Sports and Recreation, with the authority now awaiting the release of funds to undertake the necessary works before the deadline. He made this revelation during the inauguration of a 5-member resource mobilization and partnership committee as part of efforts to strengthen funding and build strategic partnerships for Ghana's sports sector.
When we first took over the administration of the National Sports Authority, we did do a preliminary round of inspections, and the report was made available to the Ministry of Sports and Recreation. And of course, we are aware that works must be done, but the key factor here is the mobilization and then release of funds so that those works must be done. The ministry did send out an engineering team to do a thorough inspection. This was about 2 months ago. A French African-based company, the headquarters in France, they've done the engineering works, and the report has been submitted to the ministry. So what we are waiting now is to ensure that we get the funds to do the work. So there's no secret about it. If you go to the Accra Sports Stadium today, it's quite clear. If you go to Babayara, Isipong, Cape Coast, it's clear that they're not 100%. So whether it's 40% remaining, whether it's 20% remaining, the fact is that we need to do a lot of work to ensure that in the 7-8 months remaining, we can beat that deadline. That's the reality. There's no shortcut, there's no diplomacy, there's nothing to sugarcoat. That's the reality. And I'm confident that the minister is still pushing hard for funds to be released. And once that's done, we'll be able to execute the completion of works to get all the boxes ticked by the Confederation of African Football.
That comment was in relation to Ghana hosting the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations next year. Now, less than a month after Spain won the World Cup, La Liga is the first of Europe's big domestic leagues to kick off this weekend, though in muted fashion. Now, one game has been postponed, and defending champions Barcelona and Jose Mourinho's Real Madrid won't play until the following weekend because they had players return later from the World Cup. A fungus outbreak on the field caused Celta Vigo's home opener against Osasuna on Sunday to be postponed to August 27th. Now, Barcelona, chasing their third straight Spanish league title, will face Elche on August 23rd. Real Madrid, revamped under Mourinho after a second consecutive season without a major title, will start at Espanyol on August 22nd. That's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishen. There's more on the bulletin after the break.
concert, the Tahilia Experience in Accra. Now themed the Altar of Fire, this year's event is expected to bring together several leading gospel musicians for a night of worship and prayer. Ohima Mercy has been speaking ahead of the event, which is scheduled for September 13. For more than a decade, multiple award-winning gospel musician Ohima Mercy has used her annual flagship concert, the Tahilia Experience, to lead thousands of worshippers in praise, worship and prayer. The gospel icon is set to return with another edition of the concert, promising an encounter centered on faith, healing and spiritual renewal.
The Altar of Fire 2026 Tahilia Experience.
The 2026 edition, themed The Altar of Fire, is scheduled to take place on September 13 at the Oil Dome, Royal House Chapel, Accra. Some of Ghana's leading gospel acts are also expected to minister at the event, including SK Frimpong, Sonny Badu, and other gospel musicians. Ohima Mercy says she believes this year's edition will be more than just a night of music, expressing hope that worshippers will experience liberation, healing, and a renewed encounter with God. Particularly hopeful that families and individuals facing various challenges will find restoration and that those attending will experience the favor and healing power of God.
For this year, when you look at last year, our experience, it moves with the Altar of Fire, and that is the reason why we took this theme. And right from January, we have prepared ourselves, take people through the teachings of the presence of the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost carry the presence of fire. And for me, the Altar of Fire is something that I want people to understand, that it breaks, it delivers, it adds up to your life. So this year when you are coming, families will be liberated. We are believing that altars from families, battles, limitations will be off, and people are going home smiling. And in addition, you are moving home with the favor of God.
The Altar of Fire 2026 Tahilia Experience.
And that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Have an amazing weekend.
Thanks, Noella. Time now to bring you international news updates. And Chad's presidency says in a statement that President Mahamat Idris Deby has pardoned his main rival and opposition leader, Success Masra. Masra has been in jail for more than a year for inciting violence and complicity to murder. Masra, a former prime minister, was sentenced to 20 years and fined 1 billion CFA francs, that's $1.77 million last year, in a trial that was criticized by human rights activists as politically motivated. Masra will be released in the coming days, and after the presidency agreed to a request for a pardon submitted by his attorneys.
Still international news, transit through the Strait of Hormuz appeared to grind to a near standstill on Friday after two more ships were attacked. And the United States said it could maintain a naval blockade of Iran indefinitely. Now, since the ceasefire renewed in the June deal broke down, Iran has resumed attacks on ships it accuses of trying to transit the strait without its permission. And the United Arab Emirates Abu Dhabi National Oil Company said two of its vessels were attacked transiting the strait on Thursday evening. Two vessels passed through the narrow waterway on Friday, a grain ship entering Iranian waters and an empty dry bulk ship going in the other direction. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told reporters the U.S. military has the capability to maintain a naval presence in the region to enforce its retaliatory blockade of Iran, which has inflicted severe economic damage on the country. That's our package for you tonight, but there's always more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby-Annan.
And also, wanting news updates? You can follow us on all our socials. We are TV3 Ghana. I'm Bernice Abubeidou-Lansa. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Charlie, you sure say the guys they will come?
Oh, definitely. They should be on their way coming.
Guys, I hear say some alcoholic drink come. Wait, nice one. Did they call Joe?
Joe?